Right, lads, let's have a look at what we think is our Six Nations team of the tournament. This isn't the Lions, right? This is like France and Italy, and there could be a few Italians in there as well. So let's have a look at the Six Nations tournament. Shall I go with the forwards? Do you want to do the back? Should we go all in on what Addy wants to work?
Let's go all in, Jim. I mean, you're obviously going to be the brains of the forward pack, but we're going to give our pointers. Six Nations team of the tournament. Let's see what we got, lads.
Okay.
Let's start in the front row.
Okay, so you can challenge me on this. I'm more than happy. But I'm going to start with Lou said. I've nailed this position down, having seen Scotland get run over in the scrums at the weekend. So Andrew Porter, him running over the Scotland scrum and literally running into the bench, and the way in which he's played, like it's because he struggled at scrum time. Well, as in, I wouldn't say he struggled, as in from a perception of referees, that All Blacks game, the fact that me and Bernard Chapman, who came on here, was talking about the Achilles heel of Ireland being the scrum. Well, that's been put to bed now. So Andrew Porter, cornerstone of that. Are we happy with that, lads?
Shout out for Fischetti as well.
Fischetti, very good. Good in the loose as well.
Yeah.
Can hit a man. Yeah. Good over ball as well. Yeah. Italian scrum has been very good as well. But Andrew Porter, friend of the show.
Tight head prop, Jim?
You ain't going to believe it. I did mention it there. I did mention it in the lead up. Who would you go for, Andrew?
I would probably go Weenie Antonio.
Biggs?
I've got Tyke Furlong in my team. I still think that he's the best tight head prop in the tournament for me.
I just didn't like his dive. I hear you, but I didn't like his dive, and he tried it again the weekend, didn't he?
But I love Ty Furlong. I really do. But I've had to mix it up a little bit because I'm trying to manipulate the Lions staff. I'm trying to manipulate Andy Farrell. Like, if we start talking about players on here, not that this player who I'm picking is going to go, but Dan Cole. I'm surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised because I think his age profile, didn't know whether or not he'd be in. He was obviously been on the bench with Leicester with Joe Hayes coming in. But the way in which he's performed, I don't know whether it's him doing his own podcast or whatever, but I just think, I don't know. Maybe it's an apology.
It's an olive branch.
Maybe it's an olive branch. It's an olive branch.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you on that. I get it. I'm going to agree with Biggs, actually. Now we're discussing it. Champion team.
I'm happy with that.
Ridiculously good.
I'm happy with that. But it is an olive branch. So Biggs, I called for Dan Cole's retirement about 8 years ago, and I played with Coley at Leicester back in the day when he had a full head of hair.
Coley's a great man, in fairness. Literally a great man. So, and like I said, he's clearly sort of an England legend and has done brilliantly this tournament. But I think Tiger's probably just a little bit ahead.
All right, I'm happy with that. 1 and 3 for the Irishman. In the middle of that, I've got an Englishman. I've put Jamie George, captain, the way that he's led England, the emotional turmoil that he's been through personally, the way in which he's spoken after the game. I'm close to Jamie, so I'm putting him in there. But Dan Sheehan, my goodness me, he's a freak of nature. But look, you can't put an all-Ireland team in, even though they won the tournament, And England beat Ireland. So that's why I'm putting Jamie George in there.
Yeah, and I hear you, Jim, and I completely agree with all your sentiments around Jamie George. Couple of things, though. He's come off a fair bit, and England have performed pretty well when he's come off. And that's not a slight on him. That's Theo Dan coming on and doing well. So you think about our comeback against Ireland. Theo Dan was on. Against France, same thing. But also, in reality, Dan Sheehan has topped the try-scoring charts for a forward. And it's the most tries a forward has ever scored in the Six Nations with 5. So I'm going to have to challenge you and go Dan Sheehan.
You going all Ireland?
You have to, mate.
Dan, have you got this bias? Go on, let's see if Dan Biggar is as biased as you are.
I have got this bias. And do you know what? I've actually gone, jumping ahead a little bit, but I've actually got a full front 5 of Ireland because I think that's how good they've been in allowing them to play the way they want to play. I've actually got a full front 5 of Ireland players. Now, I agree with you. I think Jamie's been great. I think, but obviously he has come off a little bit. I also think Elliot Dee deserves a little bit of a shout out as well, because the Welsh lineup was under huge amounts of pressure in that first half against Scotland, and I don't think he's missed a throw since he's played,
Very
and the
true.
lineup has looked a lot better. So I think he deserves a mention. But I do think I've got a full front five of Irish forwards because that's how impressed I've been with them.
Yeah, I would have got Malvaca as well, but he's not played enough. I don't know why he's not been starting, albeit Marchand's obviously a wicked player as well.
Yeah. So who you going with, Jim? We going with Sheehan or you going with Jamie George?
I will go with Dan Sheehan. Yeah, you've sold
there
me.
We go.
I'm easily sold. It's been Paddy's weekend as well, all Ireland. We'll jump into the second row and we'll double them up at the same time. So I have gone Joe McCarthy, especially the first two games, but the way that he's come in this tournament, such a young age, blasted onto the scene, to hold that position down in an Irish jersey when you've got the likes of James Ryan as well that you're competing against, and Ryan Baird on the bench, just shows how good he is. I know Andy Farrell came out and said, look, we're trying to keep him grounded, but just that game against France alone, I thought he was fantastic, and to hold that position down. And then I've gone George Martin with him as well. I think he's made a massive difference to England. That game in the World Cup against South Africa kind of cemented him as a starter. Me and Goody have been talking about him on social media and on the podcast for the last couple of years, saying that he's been the missing link for England, that kind of physicality, out and out kind of old school brutality. So I've gone Joe McCarthy and George Martin as well, but there's been a lot of good second rows that have played.
Yeah, shout out to Tyg Byrne as well. I thought first game against France, he was outstanding. He's obviously played really well. But I'm with you, Jim. It's your area of expertise, and I am with you. I will go along with your selections there, Jim. What about you, Biggs?
Yeah, I'm happy to concede. I actually went Tyg Byrne in my team in the tournament. I think what he gives you as a full package in terms of mouldy, in terms of the intelligence of how he plays the game, his running lines, his skill set, his threat over the ball is incredible to the way Ireland want to play. But I wouldn't have too many complaints with George Martin. And like you said, Jim's the guru in that area, so we'll give Jim George Martin.
And we're not going all Ireland. I ain't doing that. It just ain't happening. As much as I love the Irish, and that we're loved over there. Right, let's have a look at the back row. Should we just go 6, 7, 8, or should we just go 3 back rows?
6, 7, 8. Whatever you want to do, Jim. This is your area again. Forwards. There's only one number 8. Let's start with the easy one, number 8.
But that's what I mean. Actually, in my opinion, number 8. Yeah, go on.
In my opinion, easy selection. Penaud. Don't know how many man of the matches he's had. He's had a few. Ball carrying stats off the chart. Tackle breaks. He has been an absolute phenomenon for England at number 8. Some question, is that his best position? Yeah, there's all the chat around Zach Mercer or whatever initially, but Penaud has been England's star player every time he's taken the field. So he gets my shout at number 8.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and actually I've gone for 3 7s. I know Penaud plays 8, but I've gone for 3 7s in the back row. So you can challenge me on these, but friend of the show, Michele Lamoureux, top tackler, I think ever in the Six Nations. Is that right? Is that the stat that come out this week?
Something crazy like that, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sets a new record for tackles made in the Six Nations, 103 tackles made. So we knew he was good, but he's now on the road to greatness. So I've put him in there. And I've also put, you might be able to clear up his name, Biggs, is Tommy Raffel as I know him, but apparently it's Tommy Raffle, which doesn't have the same kind of twing to it. Is it Tommy Raffle?
Yeah, Tommy Raffle. Tommy Raffle.
Raffle, not Raffle.
There you go.
Put it that way. That's what I've been calling him for 2 years, and he hasn't corrected me yet. So we'll go with that. I've gone exactly the same as you, Jim. I think Michele Lamoureux has been an inspiration, captain in Italy. The amount of work he gets through, I think he's been brilliant. Easy choice at 8, as you said, Goody, and Tommy Raffle at 6. I've gone 6, so like you said, 3 7s, and I hate to think what the campaign could have been like for Wales if it wasn't for him in the back row. I think he's been absolutely magnificent. I think it's joint top for turnovers in a Six Nations with John Barkley.
Yeah, 11
ever in a team which is obviously under a huge amount of pressure, and I think he's been absolutely magnificent. Certainly one of the Welsh players that can hold his hands up and say that he delivered a pretty special tournament from a personal point of view. So he gets my shout at 6.
There we go. We all agree, lads. We all agree.
We do.
We'll go into the backs then. Let's go to the halfbacks. We'll start off at 9. Biggs, I'm going to come to you first. Then I'm going to be influenced by Jim. And then I'll give my thoughts. Who's your best 9 this tournament, Biggs?
Okay. Best 9, Gibson Park. I think he's an exceptional rugby player. Helps when you've got a front 5 doing the things that Ireland's front 5 does for you. But I think he's just a brilliant rugby player, clever rugby brain, and for me, a little bit ahead of everything else. I thought Thomas Williams again deserves a bit of a shout out. I thought he had a good tournament again in a really tough team. But Gibson Park makes my team.
Yeah, same for me. Why didn't he go on the Lions tour a couple of years ago? Do we know why or not? Was he injured or was he not picked? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I don't think he was picked, but I don't think he was quite the same level as
he wasn't
what he
quite
is at the minute.
first choice, I don't think. Because Conor Murray was on that tour,
I don't think so. Because Conor Murray went, and he was ahead of him at that time. Yeah.
That's right.
So I think at the time, Conor was getting picked ahead of him.
Yeah, so yeah, for me, just watching him off the ball, like as in the trust that he's got in his defence to go after Finn in the line, you saw him just making beelines, that stuff, box kicking, wicked player, and liked and loved by the lads. He needs to sort that lid out. I can't watch the game.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Do you or not, or is it just me? Biggs, do you have that or not? Me and Goodey are very strange, right? We're watching the game and I'm focused on his lid saying, mate, just shave it off now. It's the best thing you can do. Do you think that Biggs, or does that not
come to me? He just needs to come to me and talk to me about a hair transplant. I can sort him out.
Yeah.
Goody's got a guy. Goody's got a guy, I think. So that's his next port of call. Six Nations team of the tournament, but go to Goodey for a guy.
There you go. All agreed. Yeah, Jameson Gibson Park. Let's move on to fly half then. I think this will be an interesting debate because I've got a feeling I know where Biggs is going, and I don't think I'm going to agree. But Biggs, fly half. Who are you going with?
Well, I think I've actually gone with Ford because I think he's.
Goodey knew it was coming. He knew that was coming.
Yeah, I knew that he knew it was coming. But I think Crowley deserves a huge mention. I think he's been obviously in the Six Nations, the winning team. But again, like I said, I think he hasn't influenced the game as much as Ford has. And for me, I thought Ford in the first couple of weekends got England over the line in terms of with his kicking, with his game management. And I think the last couple of weekends he's got that team moving and I think he deserves his place there. That's where I've gone. I think he's under a bit of pressure as well, which is never easy from people like Goodey. But yeah, no, I've gone with Ford at 10. Goodey?
James?
Yeah, I'll go next and let Goodey finish. Matt, I've gone for Ford as well. Yeah, just because I wanted to go for Finn, but I don't think we've done well enough as a team to put him in there. I was going to go for Paolo Garbisi as well, but because of that 10, 12, 13, also like when Pajrello was playing 9, but that 10, 12, 13 access has been unbelievable for Italy, but a few big kicks, the miss at goal in France for him to win that game for them in Lille was massive. He was very close, but I just think how England have come back in, Andrew. So all the pressure's on you. I don't know how we're doing this, if it's 2-1 or whether, Andrew, you have complete sign-off, mate. I don't know, but who is it? Who have you gone?
I've gone Jack Crowley. Stepping into Johnny Sexton's shoes. Yes, and listening to you boys, you have convinced me around George Ford. Against Wales, he's 50-22. Kind of turned the tide a bit, and a bit of game management got us through that game. I just can't forgive the Scotland game when we were that bad and he went missing. But last week against Ireland, I thought ball in hand, he was outstanding, George Ford. His kicking let him down, but his performance against France was brilliant. But Jack Crowley, for me, stepping into Sexton's shoes, they win the Six Nations. He's gone about his business quietly, but really calmly, and he has some massive shoes to fill. So my pick was Jack Crowley, but Biggs is a way better 10 than I was, way more experienced. So I've just got a bigger
and
mouth.
It's 2-1. And it's 2-1.
Yeah. It hurts me.
George Ford.
With you boys, I'll let you go George Ford, but not sure. Shout out to Garbisi though as well.
Yeah, shout out to Garbisi.
Yeah, massive.
Very close, but yeah.
Signed for Toulon as well, isn't he, Garbisi?
Yeah, he has. Hopefully that'll he'll help my back out a little bit, Jim, as well. So
he plays 12, don't worry. Talking of 12s and centres then, Jim. Biggs, who have you picked in the centres?
These are the two. I thought Bundiaki's been brilliant, and as he always is, but Menoncello and Brex have been like we said at the start of the show, if they're not on the shortlist for player of the tournament, then I think something's gone badly wrong. The partnership which they've formed in terms of the work they do, which complements each other. Menoncello, I think he's only 21, maybe 22 this year.
21.
So
mental,
an absolute freak. Brex, in terms of his work rate defensively and how he sort of holds people as a ball player, I think there's not many. I wouldn't say there's a better centre partnership certainly in the Six Nations. They've been brilliant, and you look at all the good teams, and I'm not saying Italy are anywhere near there yet, but you look at sort of like the Welsh team we had in the mid 2000s, the 13-14, you had John Davis and Jamie Roberts, you had Darcy and O'Driscoll, and when you've got a pair which understand each other's game as well as those two do, I think Italy are onto a winner. So those two make my team as probably the easiest picks.
Biggs, I went exactly the same as you, mate. The Italian Stallions at 12 and 13 both followed me at the weekend on social media. Well, I actually followed them first. Ollie Lawrence, big shout out to him as well. I thought he's been brilliant. So I think Ollie Lawrence has taken over the mantle of Manu Tuolangi, what he brought. I think every time he's played, he's looked wicked. The two Scotland centres, when Sione Tuipulotu was fit, him and Hugh Jones, wicked try again at the weekend, but Sione got injured. And you can't look past the kind of cornerstone of the Italian 12-13. Like years gone by, really good competitive pack. They've lacked in the back line and that kind of killer instinct. Spoken about it before, Biggs, playing at the line, but their physicality for such young men. And yeah, they look like gladiators as well. So they're in aesthetically for that.
Yeah, they're in pretty good nick. They're a better nick than probably me and you ever were, Jim, I'd say.
Mate, thank you for putting me in the same category as you. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, no, easy choice for those two. I was speaking to our attack coach actually in Toulon. Andrea Massi is obviously Italian and knows those boys really well, and he was saying that Brex said a couple of years ago couldn't catch a cold. His hands were dreadful. But he said he's worked on it, and obviously you see the Six Nations, how good he has been as a ball player and how much of a line he's been. He's been incredible.
I'm with you, lads. Completely agree. Shout out to Ollie Lawrence. I thought he's been brilliant for England. Aki's been fantastic for Ireland as well at times. Tuipulotu was very good before he got injured. Hugh Jones, great finish, skipping past Henshaw. But for me, you're right. Menoncello and Brex in the centres, two absolute units, playing well, good combo. I'm happy with that pick, boys. Right, let's move on to the back three then, shall we?
Go on, Andrew, you go
back
first.
Three.
Don't let us manipulate.
This could get tasty.
Go on, you go. Let's see what you got.
Well, back three could get tasty. I'm going to go wingers. I think you have to go Penaud on one wing.
Definitely.
He's been brilliant. And then I'm stuck between two. Wingers. Duhan van der Merwe, because of how he performed against England. But then against Italy, he might have cost them the game with his 2-on-1. And then James Lowe, I thought, who's gone about his business well as well. So I'm going to go James Lowe. I ain't going to go Duhan. Even though he was worldy against England, but then Italy wasn't great. So I'm going to go James Lowe. James Lowe and Penaud.
So the minute we haven't got one Scot in there, or South African, like just
you
to let you
fourth. You finished fourth.
We got a Welsh lad in there.
True, they got the wooden spoon, but he's Leicester.
Yeah, very true. I've actually gone for I haven't actually picked a fullback, if that makes sense. I've gone for three wingers in the back three because I've actually felt like there's been no real standout fullback, and I was exactly the same as you, Goody. I was torn between James Lowe and Duhan. So I've just stuck them both in. I've gone James Lowe. I put James Lowe at fullback with his left foot, and I've chucked Duhan on the right and Penaud on the left because
I'm happy with that. I'm happy as long as someone's in there. Yeah, as long as the Scots in there. You can't go from Scotland finishing fourth. We've got Italy. We've got three Italians in there, and Wales, where we've got Tommy Rafal, and not have a Scot in there. So Duhan's got to be in there, Andrew. You horror. You're horrible. You're burned. That's why, because he's smashed England single-handedly.
Yeah, true. No, I'm with you. I was going to say, I thought Hugo Keenan's gone pretty well at fullback quietly as well without setting the world alight. Thomas Ramos as well. I know he's moved to 10. His goal kicking's been impressive, but I'm with you. Let's do it. Fuck it. Let's get Douan in there and let's play James Lowe at fullback, and then we'll have Penaud on the other wing.
It hasn't. I think I would have gone Keenan Goodey, but he hasn't played enough for me to make the team of the tournament. You know what I mean? I think Furbank has been excellent when he's come in, but again hasn't played enough. It's been we've struggled really for real consistency at fullback. So I think those two have been brilliant, and I would have gone Ramos, but I don't think Sean Edwards would have forgiven me for putting him in the team of the tournament after some of his defensive efforts on the weekend.
He's played touch. He's been playing touch, mate. He's been playing touch rugby all tournament. So who's your skipper, lads? What are we going to name a skipper as well? Pick a captain.
Maximus.
Come from the front.
Maximus. I'm Italian. I like the fact that Michele Lamoureux, friend of the show, lived right next to the stadium. He basically lived in the Colosseum. The way they sing the anthem, I'm all in, mate. You can sail me up a river. As in, if he tells me, like, Jim, I named my son after Maximus Decimus Aurelius. If he says, Jim, you're in, mate. As in, I want you to run through this wall. I want you to die for me. I'll be like, Lamoureux, mate, you're about 14 years old, but I will fucking die for you, mate.
He is. He's our skipper then. I agree. He's our skips.
Pod.
Rugby pod.